The most watched show on TV was almost cut before it hit its stride. Today we're revealing 8 times a runaway hit wrestled with skepticism, a near season 2 acts, set-born gags that save scenes, and a finale that arrived without a goodbye. From the unseen mansion to a chart-topping theme, every win had a shadow. If success equals safety, this series proves the opposite. Before we move on, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Number 1, Buddy Ebsen nearly lost Jed. CBS got nervous fast. The character who steadied the mayhem felt too quiet to some execs, and early drafts leaned into Jed's goofiness. That raised a big question. Could a rural, soft-spoken lead carry primetime, or did they need a flashier face? Notes started stacking up, hinting at a possible recast if the tone didn't sharpen. Buddy Ebsen pushed back in a calm, stubborn way. He fought to keep Jed practical, someone who could see through a fancy sales pitch, while Jethro chased wild schemes he'd lived through studio overreach before. The aluminum dust makeup that wrecked his lungs on The Wizard of Oz taught him what happens when others define your role. On set, he would trim lines, shift a reaction, or slow a scene, so Jed's common sense landed first and the joke followed. It worked. Jed stayed steady, the audience locked in, and that liability turned into the show's heartbeat. Power stayed fragile, though. Even the mansion had limits. Number 2, the mansion you never truly saw. The Clampetts' palace sold the dream, but we never got the full tour. Why? Because that grand home was a real private estate, and access came with strings-attached crews could grab certain exterior angles on specific days, then get out. The interiors you remember, the sweeping staircase, the big parlor, were soundstage builds designed to echo the feel without revealing the real house. Commonly cited as the Kirkby Mansion in Bel Air, the property had guidelines that shaped everything we saw. Directors leaned on partial facades, tight shots on the portico, and quick cutaways. Establishing shots did heavy lifting, repeated often so the place felt familiar and huge, while most scenes unfolded under studio lights. Those choices created a visual language that kept wealth visible but distant. That controlled access mirrored the show's theme. The family had money, yet luxury stayed slightly out of reach. The opulence was curated, almost cautious. Even props inside the Clampetts' world hid in plain sight, right down to Granny's medicine. Number 3, Granny's cure. All was just colored water. Viewers swore they could feel Granny's tonic burn through the screen. So what was actually in that jug? Not moonshine. Prop crews filled it with colored water and guarded the pour so it caught the light like something dangerous. The joke needed to land fast, look strong, and stay safe on a family show. Back in the 1960s, real liquor on set wasn't happening. Network standards pushed productions to suggest alcohol without promoting it. So prop teams played with tint, a faint amber for age, a clearer mix for white lightning, always just water with safe colorants. Irene Ryan did the rest. She hit a sip with a micro pause, a sharp eye pop, then a crisp shudder, a snap of energy here, a woozy beat there. Sound editors backed her with exaggerated burps and little blasts that sold impact. Colored water, strategic audio, Ryan's timing. The harmless jug turned into a running laugh. Another gag also came from improvisation, a single line that rewired a character for the entire run. Number 4, Jethro's 6th grade education was born on set. How did one throwaway line lock in Jethro's funniest flaw? It started on set, where a casual riff about schooling gave the writers a clean, repeatable hook. 6th grade education sounded simple, but it set rules. He'd brag, he'd overreach, and he'd miss the point by a mile. That gap powered scenes without turning him cruel. Back in the early episodes, you can hear it clicked. He'd boast about ciphering, then stall on the easiest math. Writers worried he could go flat, so they built ladders for him to climb and fall from. Double naught spy dreams. A new job every week. Confidence first, confusion second. The gag tied neatly to Max Baer Jr.'s physical presence, which made the bluster funnier, not mean. According to our research, Buddy Ebsen's push to keep Jed practical shifted the innocence to Jethro, and the line carried the load. Viewers responded in mail and ratings bumps. Even with jokes landing, executives still hovered over the cancel button. Number 5, almost axed before season 2. A #1 hit in 3 weeks should have quieted every worry, right? Back in the first season, it did the opposite. Inside CBS, the chatter wasn't about applause. It was about optics. Urban critics piled on, and Time called the show the lowest form of humor. Advertisers were shifting budgets toward younger, city-based consumers, and that made executives ask if a rural smash fit the image they wanted to sell. Trade coverage at the time tracked the split. Viewers flooded the ratings, while elite voices waved it off as out of date. Strategy talks at CBS weighed brand polish against a juggernaut audience. Some argued the network needed to look modern, even if it meant trimming what millions watched every week. The surge in numbers forced a pause. Renewal moved forward, but the close call left a mark. Numbers saved season 2, while the boardroom kept scanning the horizon. That future would shadow the cast long after the laughs, starting with Jethro's next move. Number 6, typecast Jethro's career roadblock. The role that made Max Baer Jr. famous also stuck to him like glue. Casting offices kept seeing Jethro, no matter the script. Back in the late 60s, that hurt even more as the industry cooled on rural comedy auditions stalled, and offers that did appear sounded like variations of the same joke. He needed a way around the wall, not through it, so he changed lanes. Baer co-wrote and produced Macon County Line, a lean independent that stunned the box office with about $35 million on a tiny budget. That pivot wasn't an accident. It gave him control and a new reputation as a decision-maker. The move tracked with a wider pattern we've seen. Sitcom leads from that era often found range by leaving the roles that defined them. Producing and directing turned typecasting into leverage. He could pick projects, build teams, and prove value beyond a punchline. While careers zigzagged, one thing cut through every doubt: the sound that opened each episode. Number 7, a theme song that outsold the skeptics. Could a bluegrass TV theme really top the charts? That was the surprise. The song set the mood in 30 seconds, then followed viewers onto the radio, where it worked as a standalone story about a man who struck oil and moved west. Network elites brushed off rural music, but the Ballad of Jed Clampett, performed by Lester Flatt and Earl Scruggs, rose anyway. It hit #1 on the Billboard country charts, and country stations spun it like any other hit. Pop stations sampled it too, giving the banjo break wider ears than expected. The hook told the rags to riches tale cleanly, the verses marched like narration, and the picking stayed tight and bright. That blend made bluegrass feel current, not niche, and it brought the style to living rooms that rarely heard it. When your theme song tops charts, the audience has spoken. The win meant cultural adoption, not just ratings. Popularity didn't spare the show from a quiet exit that left fans blindsided. Number 8, the finale that wasn't announced. Millions tuned in every week. So how did the last episode glide by without a goodbye? The final half hour aired like any other late season entry. No countdown, no farewell message. Just another week on the schedule. Viewers saw a regular listing, not a send-off. Back in that season, CBS was shifting its focus. During the network's rural purge, promotion for rural-leaning shows dropped off, and the Hillbillies felt it. The series wrapped without series finale branding because the network's energy had moved elsewhere. Scheduling grids ran the episode with standard placement and no special press push. Trade pages and weekly listings reflected the change. Minimal attention, minimal copy, and no fanfare. At the same time, sister shows like Green Acres and Petticoat Junction met the same cool breeze as CBS chased a younger, urban audience. Fans didn't miss the finale. They were never told to look for it. The end wasn't about waning love, it was a policy shift, quiet and deliberate. The Hillbillies went from instant smash to strategic liability as critics rolled their eyes and ad dollars leaned toward city life. Peer casualties stacked up. Shows with similar small-town vibes lost slots as the network retooled. Industry coverage ties the move to economics, a push to reach affluent suburban viewers with higher spending power. Max Baer Jr. later talked about how that change shadowed career paths linked to rural branding, which made roles harder to find. The Hillbillies didn't fail. They were rerouted by a new media map. Their wins showed up later in syndication strength and constant cultural callbacks that kept the Clampetts on weeknights for decades. Did this history change how you see the Clampetts? Tell us which moment surprised you most: the quiet finale, the chart-topping theme, or the near misses behind the scenes. And if there's another classic series you want unpacked next, drop it below. We're taking suggestions and digging into the stories that still spark debate.